Mining limestone is the quarrying method, and this method involves scraping off the overburden with excavators and then blasting and then finally scooping out the deposits into trucks, which then convey them to the factory for further processes. Now we want to consider power resources. In Nigeria, there are 4 major sources of power. 1, we have coal. 2, we have petroleum. 3, we have natural gas. And finally, we have water. And based on these power sources, generation of power is grouped into 2 classes. The first class is the hydroelectric power, which we call at times HEP. Hydroelectric power is a power that is produced by water. An example of HEP projects in Nigeria are the Kenji Dam on River Niger and the Shiruru Dam on River Kaduna. The second class here is the thermal power plants. These are big generators which are fueled by coal. It could also be fueled by natural gas or petroleum products. Now in Nigeria we have examples as the Afan power plants in Rivers State. This power plant uses gas and as a fueling means. And we also have another plant in Lagos which is called the Ijora power plant. And this particular one uses petroleum. Now let's consider water resources. Many people may not really see water as a resource to boast over, but indeed water resource is very important to a nation, to a people, and to an individual. Water resources here refers to any material, whether living or non-living, that is found in water. And not only found in water, but is of immense importance to man, animal, or plants. Now, I'm going to put down here some importance of water resources. 1 is a supply of food. 2, generation of HEP. I already talked about what HEP means. An importance of a water resource when we say supply of food, we are talking about the various sea animals that could be obtained or extracted from rivers, streams, oceans, and what have you. Include fishes, crayfishes, and at times we have periwinkles. We already talked about generation of HEP, that's a hydroelectric power. With the abundance of water in Nigeria, we are able to generate some electric power that are powered by water. Now, water resources also important for agricultural purposes. When we talk about irrigation, water resource has a very great important part to play, and we also consider medium of transportation as one important of water resources. In an area where we have immense or abundance of water resources, it encourages transportation by water, which is usually cheap, although not so fast when you want to compare it with other means of transportation, like transportation by air. But in other way, is very convenient and cheap. Now, we also use water resources in the house. We'll talk about domestic uses, for washing clothes, for cooking, doing other things at home. Industrial uses, to generate or to produce different goods, different products, we need water in the industry. And this is not possible if there is little or no abundance of water resources in a given area. Now, provision of employment. The availability of water in a particular region can lead to provision of employment. Employment to boat builders, employment to fishermen, employment to swimmers or divers, and what have you. So now let's look at another resource we have in Nigeria, and this is called the vegetation resources. Vegetation resources includes all the resources that we can obtain from the forest and as well the savanna for the benefit of man, animals, and plants. And examples are timbers, roots, leaves, latex, trees, fruits, fiber, firewood, and animal. And of course, we're talking about wild animals. Also, let's look at the importance of vegetation resources. We have vegetation all over us. What are the importance, or what could we benefit possibly from the availability of these vegetation resources? That's what we want to consider now. It also serves as a means of food supply. The animals obtained from the forest, the leaves, and the likes are sources of food for man and animal. Also provides timber which are used for construction purposes and for craftsmen, carpenters, to construct chairs and other household items or furniture. Medicinal herbs. Medicinal herbs could also be obtained from vegetation resources, because there are some plants with very medicinal bark. Some trees, you cut the bark of the tree, are very good for curing some ailments. Apart from that, some leaves also are very medicinal, and some roots are also medicinal. And these are all parts of the vegetation resources, whose importance we are now discussing. And we also have source of firewood. You know, though the world is gradually turning away from the use of firewood for cooking, but nevertheless, we cannot deny the fact that there are some large-scale cooking that we have to abandon our gas cookers and make use of firewood. So they are still very important even till today. Employment opportunities. In Cross River State, for example, the recent government have employed almost 1,000 youths to man the vegetation resources in that state. These people are called green police. This would not have been possible if there were no vegetation resources around the area. So one important of vegetation resources is that it also creates employment opportunity for people. We have the lumbermen being employed. We have green policies being employed. We also have forest managers. These are all opportunities created as a result of the availability of vegetation resources in a given area. Now, we also have development of game reserve and tourism. There are many game reserves in Nigeria, like the Yankari Game Reserve. These are made possible as a result of the availability of vegetation resources in Nigeria. Now, there are problems associated with exploitation of vegetation resources. When these resources are exploited, it creates some problems, or it leads to certain adverse effects on the environment. And let's consider some of them here. One is soil erosion. As these vegetation resources are exploited, it leads to deforestation. It also leads to erosion, soil erosion. The trees that serve at times as wind blocks, since they have been exploited, when the wind comes,